Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Mark Isaac Butter Presents. Today we have a very fun show. Dan Slyker, who lives in Massachusetts, is a country singer. I used to say country western, but I think you prefer country singer, right?
Yep.
Okay. And he's been doing it for more than 10 minutes because I looked at two or three of his albums. He's got, it looks like three to me, but maybe it's two. But he's been doing this a long time. He plays piano, he plays guitar. He's got a group called the Sellouts. They have a very fun new album out. Just wild stuff. I'm going to be asking him questions just like I always do, folks. So let me go over to my questions and we'll get going here. Dan, tell us a little bit about you as a person. Like, where did you grow up? What kind of education did you have? That sort of thing, just to get us familiarized with you.
Well, my parents met in Vermilion, Ohio, a place you're familiar with, I'm sure. I've heard a
Right,
little birdie told me, and
right.
they got they got married pretty soon after high school, and my dad went into the Coast Guard, so they started their adventure pretty early. I was born in Miami Beach um, when they were really young parents, and I don't remember much about that place, but I moved a bunch of places in Florida, Virginia, New Orleans, Puerto Rico. New Orleans
Okay,
again, and then settling in South Florida. So my dad being in a bunch of different places was kind of like a cool childhood for me. I ended up
okay,
settling, like I said, in Florida, went to high school there, and that took me to Tampa, where I went to the University of South Florida and majored in music. And then I changed to music education because one of my professors says you don't practice enough, and uh, maybe you want to think about going into like something like teaching because I've seen you with your
okay.
classmates and everything, and you seem like you have that good personality. So actually, I was a pretty good natural teacher, and I went into teaching. I taught in Florida schools for about 13 years.
Oh
So that
my
was my,
goodness. What grade level?
I did everything. I kind of graduated. I started with elementary school. I got a job before my internship was even over teaching elementary music. And then I taught middle school for 10 years, and then I taught high school for 2 years.
Hmm.
So kind of did it
Yeah,
all.
yeah. Wow. That's good stuff, man. You were quite accomplished, and I hear that at when you're not doing your regular music, you're playing piano. You said somewhere at a nightclub or what?
Yeah, I play piano in a nightclub. That teaching part was like the first part of my musical life. And then I walked into a bar in Tampa called Howl at the Moon. It's a dueling piano bar, and I just watched
Okay,
these guys go back and forth. They were taking requests from the audience, and they were playing, and weren't just playing the songs. They were kind of being interactive, where you can sing back with them, and they would tell a joke about it. They'd get people
right.
involved. I said, I really love this. This is really fun. I want to do this. But the problem was I wasn't such a good piano player. I was mostly a drummer at that point, so I had to get
Okay,
I mean, I knew everything about it because I knew all my music theory and stuff because I went to
yeah,
college and I had a music ed degree, but I had to kind of get the get pretty good at like barroom piano. So I practiced for about
right.
a year and auditioned for that job and I got a job playing there. And then from there, I heard they were opening one in Boston and I always wanted to live in the Northeast. So I auditioned for that
Oh,
job and I got that. And I've been doing that since 2010 here.
oh my God. Hey, I like that story. That's good stuff. Wow. So that's pretty cool. South Florida. Uh, okay, and we know that music is your full time occupation because you have your band. Are you considered the leader of sellouts or what?
Well, the thing is, my latest album is sort of like a fantasy. It's sort of like a
Right.
mock
Radio show.
variety show. And so the
Like
band The
a
Sellouts,
Garrison Keeler kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, and so the band The Sellouts and the band The Train Tracks are two bands that are fictitious bands on this thing, but everything's
Oh,
listed under me as Dan Slyker, and so I was just kind of making a couple of satire bands out of
okay.
that
So
whole thing. So yeah,
what is your actual band called? You have a country music group, right or not?
no, I just I go under Dan Slyker under the moniker of my own name, and then I hire I play most of the instruments myself. I did the drums, bass, and acoustic guitar, and I learned mandolin for this album, and that was kind of fun.
Okay.
And then I hire my friends to play like the fiddle and like the really good electric guitar that you hear on there. Those are my pro
Yeah.
friends.
Okay.
And my friend
Okay.
Joe Grady played upright bass on one song. So yeah, that's
All
kind of how I
right.
put it together. Yep. And it's a fun
Yeah,
way to do it
very
because
good.
you can if I have all these talented friends. I can just call them up and say, we just do everything virtually. I send them a thing, an audio thing, and they record something and
Okay.
send it back, and we don't even have to get together. It's really cool.
Wow. Yeah, that's today. I love that album. Uh, called Sellouts and Train Tracks, right?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that the name?
It was
I
super
love that
fun for
thing.
me to make.
It's like a Garrison Keeler type show. Yeah, and I looked up I looked up one the name of one of the advertisers, the fake advertisers, to see if it was really real in Andover, and I couldn't find it. So I figured they were all made up, but I thought that would be interesting that music albums start having advertising in between songs. We're gonna have to see what happens with that.
Well, it's sort of like, the old timey shows. Like if people watch Annie or something like that, they would do the radio
Right.
show and then they would do the
Yeah.
sponsorships and stuff like that. And I'd
Yep.
always had these jokes about because there's an Andover near me, and there's also one in Kansas and one in Ohio. And I didn't want to reveal which Andover, kind of make it like Springfield, like on The Simpsons. You don't know which Springfield
Right.
it is,
Right.
um, but I always made like a joke. Wouldn't it be funny if there was a karate place called Andover Fist and
Yes.
an aerial
Yeah.
photographer place called Over Andover, and
Right.
if there was an attorney named Andover, and I was just these things pop into my head, and so like I was like, well, let me work this into the thing. I need some material for this show, so
And that guy, whoever played the MC guy, you did something very interesting, which you had him be more critical of you and your quote unquote band
hmm
than I would have suspected. That was an interesting writing choice.
yeah. I wrote the character to kind of be. I wrote the setting to kind of be in a more traditional country setting, and so when these guys come in with their drum machines and
Right,
blazing
right.
electric guitars, that might not go over as well in this particular setting. Even though when people listen to it, they can choose to gravitate toward one of the styles or the second style that I display on the record with the Train Tracks band.
Yeah, I liked that whole album. I liked everything on it. There was one piece toward the end. I don't. It's not the last song, Patty, but it's one of the other ones where uh, it sounds like a Johnny Cash song.
Yeah, yeah. So that was
Two or
called
three
Johnny
songs
Cash
from
Tattoo, right?
yeah.
It's about a dude who gets a
Oh,
Johnny Cash tattoo and it gives him all this confidence and whatever. And
oh,
so I had,
I didn't read the title on that one. I didn't realize, but just to me, to my ear, it sounded like it because I grew up around country music, and
yeah, I
so
wanted to make it
we
sound like that. That was just like a fitting sound. It has like a dedication to Johnny.
okay.
Mhm.
So, where can we find your music? Where can we find your new album's name is again?
Sellouts and Train Tracks.
Okay, Sellouts and Train Tracks.
And I also have
And
an
where
old
can
EP called 808s and Fishing Lakes. And
yeah,
it's yeah, and it's where you can find it is nowadays we don't go to record stores and buy new records is for the most part. A lot of people are getting back into vinyl, but everything is streaming now. So
right.
all the music is free, which is kind of like a nice thing. It's an easier way for musicians to put out, a lower cost way for musicians to put out their music, and it's a lower cost way for people to consume it. So people can you can get it to more people. The downside is you would think you don't make as much money from selling CDs, but the truth is bands who are up and coming and weren't signed to a record label, they would have to spend a lot of money to print CDs and cassettes and vinyl and go out and sell them and hope to recoup and hope their CDs didn't turn into like coasters somewhere or just
Right,
sit in a
right,
box in their cellar. So
right.
it's kind of the same as it ever was. People just do the music to have as many people hear it as possible. And that's all I want is just for as many people to hear the songs as possible, and hopefully a lot of them think it's fun and enjoy it. And that's a measure of success for me.
Good. And someday if you get bigger, you can do an album where people purchase it. I mean,
Exactly.
probably how Coldplay and other people started out, so I would think.
Lots of bands
So,
did, yeah.
yeah. So okay. So now just so I can say this to people, we can buy your music on Amazon Music, and where else could we buy it?
That's true. Yeah, Amazon Music, you can buy it there, or you can also buy it on Apple Music, iTunes Store.
Okay. Just in
There's a
case they
lot of
do want that MP4 or MP3, whatever,
other
whichever.
people. Yeah, there's some others like secondary stores, but the main two are the iTunes Store and the Amazon Music. So
Okay.
yeah, it is available for purchase there if you want to have it. And
Good, good. Okay, we got that. That's good. I really like what you're doing. It's fun, man. This helped me a lot because, like I say, my family when growing up, we were all Western, and like I told you on the machine, Earl Flats and Lester Scruggs and, Waylon Jennings and Tammy Wynette and, uh, uh, I forget who got her start on the Porter Wagner show. Dolly Parton. Remember
hmm
that? Remember that? Well, you probably don't because you're not old enough. But there was a TV show back in the probably early '60s, might have been late '50s, called the Porter Wagner Show, and Dolly Parton got her start there.
I just
So,
went to Nashville earlier this year, and I went to the Country Music Hall of
CMA?
Fame, and I went to the Grand Ole Opry and stuff, and they showed footage of that show and a lot of
Okay,
other shows too. So that was kind of neat.
all right. Have you ever gotten to the CMAs just as an audience member, or
Nope, I'm not really that connected into the Nashville scene, or I'm just kind of just doing it from the outskirts here. And but
okay?
I did enjoy my visit there, and really saw a bunch of legends at the Grand Ole Opry and Country
Yeah,
Music Hall of Fame. That was really cool.
very nice, very beautiful. So, and how big is the country scene in Massachusetts?
It's not too big, but country music is kind of made its way here, where there's a lot of people who like at my piano club, for instance. When I first got here in 2010, country was pretty. I don't know. It wasn't really hadn't really saturated the market yet, but then a couple of recent artists have really gotten big in the social media community, and
Okay.
streaming and everything. And so country is really big. I can play country half the night some nights, and it will go over. And so even though there's not a lot of you know people playing country clubs here, there are a couple. It's not huge, but there's a couple places to play stuff if you want to.
Now you're working playing piano at one place, one nightclub, and you do that 5 or 6 days a week, right? Or what?
Yeah, I do that 4 nights a week, and then I also play in the summers. I play some solo piano stuff at a bar in Nantucket called Club Car, and
Okay.
I play some weddings and corporate events. Like if people come into our club and they want to have our act at their corporate party or wedding or birthday party or whatever, I take a couple fake pianos and a sound system out there, and then we do the show for them off site. So I do those also. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so when and where will you be singing this album? Will you be out at a club somewhere doing records, songs from the album, or not? On another day of the week?
That's what I want to do. I want to do either some day gigs or some Sunday gigs. Some when I'm on my off days, book a bunch of places where I could actually tour as myself instead of just playing all request piano songs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I am planning a tour and maybe not like an official tour like the big famous people do it, but like
Right.
playing a lot of bar dates and having a specific show that I can take my acoustic and my laptop and play along to my album tracks and maybe have some video playing in the background and make it like a show that I can take anywhere.
Right. Would you bring some of your friends or not to play with you or not?
Well, all my friends have heard it, and if I did a local show, I'm sure my friends would come out. But I really want to have this. I want to play this stuff for people who haven't heard it and don't know me because it's a different thing, you know, to spread the word and have people
Yeah.
like actually like your music, and they don't have to say they like it because they're your friend or your mom. So,
Right. Well, I mean, having friends come and play with you when you're playing there.
oh, I see. I see.
Mm.
As musicians,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really hard to put together a band to afford it. You know, when you don't have like the
Yeah.
budget. So
Right.
what I would do is I would take my tracks that I created on my computer on my home studio, and I take
Okay.
out my vocals and take out my acoustic guitar and I'll play it. I'll play along with it, and
Okay.
hopefully try to make up an enthusiasm what not having a band took away.
All right. Well, yeah, and I set up a couple things here in case I got to find it, but I've got do I have it here? I hope I do. Maybe I don't. I thought I had your YouTube set up here, but I can do it. Would you like me to play a song or part of a song from your new album? Because if I play it on the computer or if I play it on my phone, either one, it ought to play. Would you think or not? Would it do that?
I'm not really sure.
All
Whatever
right,
you
let me work on that. Let me see if I can do that. I
okay.
thought I had it set up, but then I was I was nervous about today's show. I want you to know. I just
Because of my
wanted to make
intimidating
sure that
celebrity status.
I I like. Let me. Oh, it's got a commercial. All right, now I've got it queued up here on the phone, and the phone obviously can play into. Here it comes. Is that okay? This is a. Here, let me. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're listening to the first clip in Dan's new album, Sellouts and Train Tracks, and the show, like I said before, is set up like an old time radio show with fake commercials and all that. So the radio show is called Giddy Up. And so what you're hearing here in the beginning is rather than a song right out of the gate, you're getting the MC person. Okay. Can I play this, Dan? Is that okay with you or what? What do you think?
Yeah, you set it up perfectly. That's perfect. Go ahead.
All right. I just want to make sure we're doing what you want us to do.
Broadcasting to you from the city of Andover and surrounding townships, it's Giddy Up, America's premier showcase for the latest and greatest up-and-coming singers and songwriters showing off what they hope are our next.
That's Bixby.
I love this.
For your host, Morty O'Shea.
I love this. I could do more, but I just think that's a hoot, man. I want to encourage people that your show's available for free on YouTube and Spotify as well,
Yep.
right?
And
what
Apple
other
Music.
places for free?
Apple Music.
Apple Music.
Yeah, that's if
Okay,
you're subscribers to those. So Amazon,
that's three
Spotify, and
major
Apple
places.
Music, you have to have a subscription to. If you
Yeah.
don't want to buy the subscription to Apple, you can get it on iTunes Store, or if you just want it for free, you can go on YouTube. But I suggest if you want to listen to it on YouTube, you go through my link tree and my sites. There's a collection on there that has it in order, because if you just look it up, it's going to play the skits out of order, which won't make sense and everything like that. And I can provide that link to you guys to provide on your show.
Yeah, give
so
it
you can
to
display
us
that.
so we can put it in the put it in the show, you know, in the links of
And
the.
that's a link tree. So you basically click on one site, and it's got everything. It's one-stop shop in there. You can click on wherever you consume music, you can find yours and just click right on it. And it's an easy thing to just bookmark and have access to everything the way
Oh,
you
good.
listen to it.
Nice. Okay. Now, what would you like to say? I'm going to have to go back and find the actual questions, but what would you say to someone who's new to music, or even not even new yet, who's thinking about being in music? What would you say to encourage them or help them decide if they want to commit a significant part of their life to music? Or what would you tell a person like that?
Well, I quickly, I'll do an aside about my doing piano job. I'm really lucky I stumbled into that kind of music because musicians are notoriously spending a lot of money, spending all their money on gear, driving a million miles away to play a show for a bar tab or for $50 or something, like being
Right,
underpaid for the amount of time that you put into becoming a musician. But
right.
the dueling piano circuit is really is pretty lucrative enough so that I could get a full-time job for it, and that's my only job. I do really well doing that as a job. But most musicians, and no matter how accomplished you are, how good you are, can have a hard time because our society doesn't really reward live music as much as they do like
Very
an athlete or something like that. So
right.
I would tell the person, going back to your question, that don't expect to make a lot of money from it. Don't go, if that part will come if you put in like all the hard work for it. And but I don't have to tell a musician that, really. The musicians do it for the love. You could tell me that my job, no one's going to pay me for it forever, and I'll still do it. It's just something I
Yeah.
do for the love of it. But music today is easier to make than it ever has been with all the computer technology. But that also makes there's more competition than ever also. So
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
it kind of balances out. Where the common thing left over on this, when you do the equation, is hard work, and that's the way it always has been. You got to really go after it. You got to really be present on social media. You got to really know how to work the landscape of streaming music, and you got to try to go out and get contacts. You have to play live. You have to spread your music to people who haven't heard it, who don't hear the music, don't buy CDs and stuff like that anymore. You
Right.
have to like really get it out there. That's what I would say. It's hard work, no matter if it was 1970 or 2024.
Yeah.
Just got to
It's
keep
still
after it.
right. And practicing is so, physically practicing. I mean,
I didn't even talk about that part. Obviously, I was just assuming someone had already practiced and dedicated their
yeah.
life to it, and they're at the point where they want to do something else. But yeah, obviously, is you can get YouTube lessons out there now, and you can work and work and work. And if you don't eat, sleep, and breathe music, you're probably not going to get to the point where you can do something, and
Right.
significant. So, but that's not the kind of thing you'd have to teach people to do. They just do it or they don't. It's either born
Or
into
they
them or it's
don't.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I would like to consider doing another show with you. I think there was my timer. I'd like to consider doing another show, and I didn't ask you this in advance, but would you consider doing another show today or not? The thing I want to focus on in the second show, and I'm kind of putting a teaser in here for the audience, is the article that was written about you in Rattle and what they and others have had to say about your style and how it's different than the quote unquote traditional country style, and how it's similar and where that's going. Like, it seems to me that what you're doing is going to be a niche, or is already a niche in country music that is prominent. It's going to be there. It's going to grow. So
Yeah, I'd love to do a second show. I can do it today.
all
I
right,
do. We're all set up and everything. Yeah, I would love to
yeah,
talk about the concept. Because I'm not
all
famous
right.
enough to do a concept album, but I did one.
Well, no, I want to talk about that more because I read the Rattle article. Well, I have a learning disability, but I read it twice, but I still there's a lot to learn. So yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to close up our show, and as you know, we're going to do another show, and it'll be labeled show number 2. We've been visiting today with the wonderful, lovely, and handsome. If you don't believe me, ask his wife. I'm trying to find. I can't find where I've got the show here because I'm looking at the question screen. So we want to thank you for visiting with us. We've been talking today to Dan Slyker, who is a country singer, country songwriter, and we like him a lot. I believe he's in one of the cutting edge places in country music. It is evolving like everything else on the planet. So thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank
Take
you for
care.
having me.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.